Now, so the question for everyone listening, in fact, to teachers, is basically, this is the question I came up with, is do you have those two traits that are required? So the first one is creativity. So I'm going to start shipping furniture not assembled. And do you have the discipline, going to Poland, to actually see it through? And that is what we call the idea muscle, right? And it needs to be exercised. Yes. It needs to be worked. And you're not going to come up with it by just thinking about it. So how do you guys come up with ideas?
Good question. For me, good questions come primarily from, getting, I don't remember who said this, Andrew, Mike, but I like the idea of shipping. Like, I like the idea of producing content every day, but I'm trying to remember where I saw this, but it was this guy saying that basically your brain is like, it's like a pipe, but it only has one faucet.
Of course you read that somewhere. I know the kind of things you read. Yeah.
And he's basically saying that there's no shortcut to,
okay.
not that pipe.
No,
he's basically saying that there is no shortcut to achieving clarity other than first emptying the wastewater. So he applies that to creativity, right? At the beginning of any sort of idea session, writing session, you must write out every bad idea that just reflexively and reactively comes out of your mind. And Mike, goes back to how when we were writing our papers in the past, we would just be like, let's just write. Yeah. Out of those, if you write, 500 words a day, you have what? How many in a week? 3,500. Yeah. Out of those 3,500, how many of those are going to be good? So anyway, you must write out every bad idea that reflexively and reactively comes to mind. Instead of being self-critical and resisting these bad ideas, you just openly accept them, And once the bad ideas are emptied, then I think you start having better, stronger ideas because they start to arrive. And I think this is why, because once you've generated enough bad output, your brain kind of calibrates itself, to the underlying elements that are producing all this badness. I don't know if this makes any sense, but then it intuitively avoids those elements. So you're like, okay, this is bad. I'm not going to write about this. I kind of know what I want. So it starts to kind of like pattern match novel ideas going forward. So I think most creators, most teachers who are thinking about building their business, they never get past their wastewater because they're always resisting their bad ideas. If you've ever opened a blank document, scribbled a few thoughts down, then you walked away because you weren't struck with good ideas, gold ideas, then you didn't get past it. That's it. I think you start with bad ideas. You identify what makes those ideas bad, and then you iterate this process until it gets better, until it becomes more, I think the word is original. So I think, Andrew, before I pass the baton to Mike, because I know he wants to say something about this.
No. You're saying a lot of what I want to say. Yeah.
It's all about, I don't think about creative. Well, you said two things, creativity and what was the other one?
Discipline.
I would like to call them defiance and acceptance.
Oh, okay. I like it.
Because there's always a counter move to anything. There's always an escape. There's always a way through. So there's no reason to get worked up. Again, when you have to write an essay, it's why do we get all worked up?
Because we think about the end results.
Yeah,
we think about writing 10,000 words. We don't think about writing my first 100 words.
Yeah.
Right?
That's it. My first 300 bad words. Yes. So nobody said it would be easy, and of course the stakes are high, but the path is there for those people who are ready to take it. Right, Mike?
No, I would. Yeah, and I don't want to add another acronym, so I won't. But I think it's iteration's really key, right? So you can't let perfection be the enemy of progress, right? Like you have to actually get out, like Leo said, write down your ideas, put them out there, even if they are bad, and force yourself to say, stay there until you have X number of ideas, and then you can return to them the next day and then start to refine them and build them in the direction that kind of match your business vision. But also I think what I really agree with Leo is this idea of persistence, right? Like, you can't back down. Like you said, you have to actually, it's like when you're exercising. If I do 25 sit-ups and I don't feel the burn, have I really actually exercised, right? So it's the same thing. You want to kind of exercise to the point where you feel tired, where your muscles feel like they're worked. And in order to kind of get to that ability to, as you said, Andrew, to build that muscle, you need to kind of present yourself with a set target of tasks. Now, it doesn't need to be that 10,000 word paper. That's the product. You got to think, okay, what's step one of that process? And that might be writing 100 words, 500 words. So if you're thinking of your business, yes, your product, promoting your business might be posting every day. But you need to develop the process for doing that, right? What are the systems that you're going to put in place so that you have the ability to post something daily? What are those systems you're going to put in place so that you have teaching time with your students, but also you've factored in some asynchronous work for them that also still leave them with the same sense of value? Unless you build those systems, then you'll never build that muscle, and then your business will never really grow.
For most people, the magic number is 10, right? 10, Write down 10 ideas every day, and 8 or 9 of them will be bad, right? But after every day, you have one good idea. If you do that for 10 days in a row, you have 10 really good ideas, and then you can pick one.
So like an example would be like, okay, so today I'm going to think of 10 topics that my niche would be interested in reading about.
But you have to write all 10, because 10. To write 3 or 4 is easy. To write 5 to 7 is a little bit harder. To get past 7 is really hard, but you cannot leave until you have 10.
I think nearly everything that is awesome, that is great, takes a lot longer than you think. You just have to get started. Don't worry about the clock. Don't worry about the results. I know it's hard to adopt this mindset, but it's what you said. I was reading a book on mental toughness. People portray mental toughness as determination and persistence, but I think it is also what Mike said. It's a little bit of flexibility, adaptability. I can be happy anywhere. I can work with what I have. I can have a good day with anyone.
Who's the person that I want to be? And what decisions, that can be 10, like write 10 things down, right? Things that I want to be, the future version of myself. And then this informs the decisions that we make now, right? So like, we're in Canada, we're a hockey country, and there's a famous phrase here that, you don't skate to where the puck is right now, you skate to where the puck is going, right? So when we started the show, before we wrap up here, we started the show with what most people do, an obvious solution to an obvious problem. So keep the obvious problem, right? Because that's what people find that they need help with. But what's your non-obvious solution? And the future, for me, of online learning is a combination of everything that's been up till now isolated. So it's a combination of community and a specific need, and online learning, and some live lessons or some coaching or some teaching. These traditionally have been separate things. You find a Reddit community, you find a Facebook group, and then you have a teacher. And then you have some YouTube videos. The future of online learning, that's where the puck is going. And in some cases, it's already there. Your program needs to have all of those things. And that's where the puck is going. And then your 10 ideas a day for 10 days, do it about your niche, do it about the problem that you solve, then do it about the person you want to be, then do it about the community that you would want to be a part of, then do it about the small pond. And after 30 days and 60 days, you have all of this information. And that's your differentiator, right? You think about where the puck is going, not just with, what you want for yourself, but where the industry is going. And that is where the industry is going. The salon is brick and mortar, face-to-face learning, right? Impressionism is online communities that have crazy value with live sessions. And that's challenging to a lot of people. But we need to challenge our current self in order to become that future self that we want to be.
Yeah. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Can I share a quote with you guys, because I was reading a book and I just found the quote here. And it's a very interesting quote, because I think it really resonates with it resonated with me, first of all. And I think it will resonate with a lot of teachers who are thinking about, you know, making this transition from, working for someone to working for themselves. And it's from a painter. I don't think she is French, Andrew, but Mariam Paré. And she specializes. Here's an interesting thing, folks. She specializes in making paintings by mouth. She uses her mouth to paint. Why? Because she suffered spinal cord injury, so she can't use most of her limbs, basically. So she basically, exactly. So she offers some advice to her young self in this book, and she basically said, and I quote, "If I could talk to myself 20 years ago, I would tell myself to focus on my strengths and not on my weaknesses, on the things I could do and not the things I couldn't do, to strive to excel and hone those skills to the point of excellence. That this was the best strategy to secure my future. I would say to myself that the only real obstacles you have are those you create for yourself."
I like that.
I like it.
Yeah. So I think the question for all of our listeners out there, sometimes, as Mike said, and you said too, Andrew, we're very hard on ourselves. We criticize our mistakes. I would say sometimes to an unhelpful degree. And sometimes we're just too nice, too easy on ourselves, and let excuses run our lives. We know that very well. So the question for all of us today is, which way are you leaning right now?
I like that. The mountain metaphor, climbing a mountain, right? Like the 5,000 or the 50,000 word essay or whatever. You stand at the bottom of the mountain and you look at the top, it's daunting, right? But if you start climbing 100 meters at a time, but at the same time, you need to pause every now and then, turn around and look at the view and see how far you've come at the same time. And then don't look too long, take a picture and then turn around, keep walking.
Yeah. It's a journey.
Yeah, it really is.